Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the Chronicles with us, the Red Devil Chronicle. My name's Andy.
My name's Nicholas.
And this week, United come good at Goodison and mixed emotions from Moscow. United chat coming up next. Plenty then to discuss this week. Everton will start with. We're also going to discuss the Derby preview. Of course, that's going to be absolutely huge in the fan takeover to come. But as I say, let's start with the weekend. I'm joined as always, Nick to my left and producer Joe through the glass. And we also have a special guest in the studio who will be joining us for the fan takeover that we'll reveal later on. But let's start with the weekend's fixture. Everton 0, Manchester United 3 then. From the embarrassment at the Emirates, of course, prior to the international break, to glory at Goodison. A couple of key changes making a huge difference for United. The first of all, in my opinion, being tactically. Now, Joe, we'll kick off with you. What did you think about Van Gaal's tactics on the day? What did he do that got it so right?
Oh, do you know what? I've not even read the script for this one, so I have no idea what was coming. But no, I just think we changed it around a bit, and I think that a lot of teams have been looking at what we've done and worked out a way to kind of stop it. And it was about time we did something else. And I think Everton weren't prepared for it. So I just think we hit them where they probably weren't ready.
Yeah, in the same way that you weren't. Exactly. Nick, I'll turn to you. An extra body in midfield, of course. Herrera came in, Schneiderlin back, sadly missed from the game at the Emirates. How important
Bizarrely missed at the game,
incredible, wasn't it? But how important were the changes to personnel for you in bringing in players like that?
I mentioned last week after the Arsenal game, I thought that was an example of a manager that got his game plan 100% wrong. I thought the game at Goodison was an example of a manager that got his game plan 100% correct. Everything he did was correct. Any team that goes to Goodison Park and gets a 3-0 win is a great result. It doesn't matter who you are. And I thought we played very well, particularly in the first half. And Herrera obviously was the standout man.
Definitely. I thought there was a better structure from United as well, with that extra body in midfield through Herrera in there.
The balance of the team throughout the pitch was a lot. We had Rocco at left back, who's played there for Argentina. We had two genuine centre backs. We didn't have Blind sort of in the position.
Did you not miss Blind?
No.
Can you imagine Nick missing Blind, really?
No, but I thought I'd throw it in there, but I was hoping you might say yeah.
I didn't miss Blind.
But everyone said that Smalling and Jones would never be able to play together. That was the problem.
Jones is an actual centre back. Blind is just a man who's covering it.
So you would prefer Jones in the squad to Blind any day?
Blind at the top of his game, in a centre back position, is just going to be as good as Jones. That's the difference. And Jones, whether he has a good game or not, he's an actual centre back. Blind isn't. He has weaknesses, Blind, that can be exposed. Pella exposed it at Southampton. Gomez exposed it at Swansea. Big, powerful players. I know Everton had Lukaku, who was effectively ruled out of the game.
That was mainly down to Smalling, but you're right. Phil Jones was better in that game. And I also think with Phil Jones, if you look back over the last couple of years, Joe, in response to what you're saying, when Phil Jones and Chris Smalling both came to Old Trafford, the bigger name at the time, the one that was supposed to be going to the top of the game, was always Phil Jones.
Who'd have thought it's
Duncan
Chris
Edwards.
Smalling to be where he is now? You wouldn't have expected it at all. It's not what we thought would happen. We thought Chris Smalling.
Giving Smalling a new nickname.
Yeah, well, that may be because I'm hoping he's for the right thing. No, yeah, I think that maybe it's just that there was a lot of pressure on Jones, and this is what I'm talking about with some of our younger players. We put a lot of pressure on a lot of them, and Smalling's just gone under the radar with it. So it's meant that he's been able to progress underneath. Maybe when we had Rio and Vidic, it means that he's learnt properly rather than being in the spotlight.
Well, I saw one of the United Stand people made a good point a few months back about Smalling. He said if we signed him this summer, for example, and he's performing the way he has this season, he'd be like a new signing. And you wouldn't rate it, you wouldn't judge him, but he gets judged as a dodgy centre back because of the start he made, 3-4 seasons ago when he first came to the club, and obviously he wasn't at the top of his game. And
there's only one thing he needs to improve on. Smalling is probably his distribution with the ball. He doesn't seem to be able to
consistency as well.
Yeah,
I think that long term.
Yeah, long term. I think my problem with him. I think there's been a few silly moments where he just hoofed it up to the corner flag, and you think there's got to be something else you can play there. It's frustrating to watch sometimes, and that's why some people don't like him. But I think that he's great defensively.
Do you remember when Phil Jones took some corners?
Yeah, let's forget about that one.
I don't think we've ever taken a good corner for the past 3 years. So,
with Phil Jones, though, just another point on him. I think if you can get him and Smalling playing together as a regular partnership, I think it's clear that Phil Jones's big issue has always been
Injuries.
blighted by injury, absolutely. If you get him a good run of games alongside Chris Smalling, you could have a good partnership there. I don't think Phil Jones will ever fulfil the potential that he was touted for.
Well, Phil Jones, we thought his career might have been over at one stage. We didn't know if he was coming back. He had the illness, something to do with his shins, and it looked like his career wasn't going to come back, and it didn't look like he was going to play in the United shirt again.
Something that I wanted to obviously find out. Since you've signed Smalling and Jones, have they had a consistent run of around 20 games in the 4 or 5 years you've had them?
Absolutely not, no. But that has been down to injuries on both parts. It's also been down to the fact that Smalling,
squad selection
to begin with, squad selection, but Smalling to begin with was poor. You say, his consistency has improved within his game. His game has improved as well.
He learned a lesson, didn't he? He didn't.
The Etihad when he got sent off.
It was. That was the big turning point, without a doubt. I mean, Nick, for you at the moment, is Chris Smalling the best centre back in the Premier League at the moment, in your opinion?
No.
Who would you put ahead of him?
Based off current form?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Based off current form, I think he's the best one. Is he the best one? Hands down, no. I think Kompany's the best centre-back in the league by a long way. But when he performs... But in terms of current form right now, I think he's probably the best you've got in the league. Yeah,
and he's got to be up there overall as well, hasn't he? Even without form. I know Kompany, I completely agree with. He's probably still the best centre-back on his day, but...
I don't think JT's far out, to be honest, even with the age he's at. I still think he's, on his day, he's a top centre-half.
He is, on the decline, though, certainly.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to talk a little bit more in depth about the actual Everton game, though. Something different that I noticed, Joe. It was the way our pressing has changed under Van Gaal slightly. If you look at the game with Herrera brought in, him and Rooney, when we lost the ball higher up the pitch, were starting to sort of dictate to the team to drop back to the halfway line. Now, it's made us sort of more compact. I noticed it again in the CSKA game last night, which we'll talk through in a bit more detail later. But do you think with Van Gaal's sort of new pressing tactics, compacting the pitch, not giving people enough room in between to play, is that going to make us a harder team to break down? Is that what we need to be doing long term to make us less beatable?
We used to be, less beatable because we could beat them in the score, and now I think we can't do that anymore. I don't think we've got the quality up front at the moment, or the form up front that's going to allow us to go. If you score 3, we'll score 4. We haven't got that anymore. So I think that Van Gaal has to look at his squad, see what we can do, and I think that maybe that's probably the best option for us at the moment. I wouldn't like to see it long term.
I think we're very hard to beat. Personally, I think a lot of rival fans would probably accept that we're.
But you wouldn't want this same tactic long term, would you? You'd expect
obviously not. No.
Better attacking, more exciting football. At the moment, we're kind of just dealing with the worst, really.
But ignoring the ridiculous Arsenal result, I thought we are particularly one of the difficult teams in the league to beat just because of how boring we play. Obviously, I don't want that long term. I don't think any United fan does. But you can't deny the fact we are a very difficult team to beat, even for the better teams.
I think what was key for the Everton match was the young lad Martial again. I think that
just about to raise a point on him, absolutely. Within all the boring football, the slow, predictable build-up,
one little light, isn't
there? There is.
Yeah. I think it's what he did defensively as well. In one term, how he pressed was better than what we saw with. A lot better than Memphis.
Do you not think he's wasted on the left, though, Joe?
I do think he's wasted, but who have we got? We've got Young out and out of form Memphis. And when you've got someone that good
Herrera,
who can play...
possibly?
Maybe, but again, he doesn't...
Jesse Lingard's even putting his point across.
But they're not... I don't see them as... They're not a flair player. They are flair players, but they're not... They're just not strong enough for the position.
They're not a luxury player, are they?
No. I would ask where Pereira's gone in all this as well.
He
played on the left pre-season for Van Gaal, seemingly disappeared.
For Brazil's under-20 team, he plays on the left.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a point to make when we come to CSKA Moscow, and I think that's where Pereira's gone. I'll give you my answer to that then. But okay. I think at the moment, I think that the best lineup we've got is with Martial on the left.
It may well be. I mean, it was a mature performance from him again. I mean, for a man of his age, absolutely incredible. It's just, like you say, it was the defensive work almost as much as the attacking.
Well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Operating on the left of the 3 that we played in that sort of slight dink to the formation that was made. Nullified Coleman completely, trapped back superbly, as you say, Nick, and still a huge threat in the box. Some of the skills he can pull off are outrageous.
I don't think I was the only United fan before kickoff who looked at that and thought, Martial, he's going to get left for dead by Coleman because he won't track back, he'll keep getting caught. but I thought on the day he was brilliant.
I think one of the best plays for Rooney as well. I think that he's when he plays, he improves Rooney on the pitch. And
it's only 7 minutes before Rooney's name.
Well, we'll keep it brief, but I agree there was a small sort of step up with Wayne Rooney this week. I agree with you on that, Joe. He did look more of a threat, and what I noticed with him playing the sort of out-and-out striking role, he did play on the shoulder well. You know, he was driving at defenders a little bit more, but he was still very quiet throughout the game as a whole.
It was a more committed performance from him.
He got a goal. It was a goal I'd expect him to score.
I didn't want to do this, Nick.
I didn't think he stood out. A lot of United fans got again carried away because he got his goal. But
Wayne Rooney chat over there. United, though, more solid. There was a spell during the second half where Everton did threaten us. But for once, United didn't panic, though. Whereas we'd usually concede during that period, we did stay organised, which is a lot to be said for what Van Gaal is setting us up to do, and hit well on the break as well. I think we need to see more of that still more often, from United, Nick. I mean... I say it's boring football,
football's gone from United's ID at the moment. I think under Fergie, we were massively counter-attacking teams, particularly against Arsenal, if you remember all those matches. I don't think that's in our DNA anymore. I think Van Gaal's got a set way on how we play, possession-based, and I don't think counter-attacking football is any part of that.
Can't be a bad thing to have structure and organisation at the back, though, especially during spells.
Yeah,
to
I
not
think
concede.
you sacrifice a bit of both. If you're playing a counter-attacking football, you're playing risky football. You're expecting to win the ball back in risky areas. Whereas the football we play, we win the ball back. We don't hit them straight away. We build.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Now, before I move on to the CSKA game, because I'm interested to hear Joe's thoughts on Pereira, but I'm going to just go into the fans' reviews and ratings from Twitter. We always ask you during the fan takeover to give us your sort of one-line reviews and ratings of the game and performance out of 10. We've got at Tom Walshley says, a great way to bounce back with a solid all-round performance, 8 out of 10. At C. Clay, 1978 United, energy in the midfield, pacey in attack. LVG may have been listening. I'm not sure about that, but 8 out of 10 and more to come, says Chris. At Serious One says, a much-needed turnaround since we got some momentum again, and Rooney got on the score sheet, 7.5 out of 10. We don't do half scores on this, but we'll let that one go. And at Cogsy666, great game, pacing midfield and attack, much improved after the Arsenal game, 8 out of 10. Not so much pace back in the team as such, but more pace and intent to some of the play, I think.
Well, I think if you look at those reviews, Andy, there's a lot of key words to pick out there that we've seriously lacked. Energy, momentum, pace, solid is something that we haven't been. And I think a lot of that is coincides with Herrera returning to the team. Yeah,
completely agree with that. Without doubt, my man of the match. Schneiderlin also worthy within that game. Those two in the midfield completely changed the game, absolutely. Now, Joe, let's move on to the CSKA game then. First of all, before we actually go any further on this and reviewing the 1-1 draw last night in the Champions League, I just want to know, this point on Pereira, what is it that you think is stopping Pereira getting in the starting lineup at the moment?
Well, to be honest, I think it's again a bit like Memphis. We're not getting what we expect from him. I think he's always rumoured to have the pace on the ball, and I haven't seen much from him yet. And I think that it's not right to bring him into a squad this early when you can be playing a team that is working there, like Martial. I think it's the right time to leave a few of the youngsters out of the limelight and give the ones who were working time in the squad.
Okay. In terms of starting Lingard then as another one of the youngsters, I mean, is it not good to see LVG giving some youth a chance? Should that not be something we see more of?
I mean, it's good to see. Obviously, it's nice to see them be given a chance, but at the same time, I feel like Lingard played purely because there were some players in the squad that needed resting. I don't think we would have seen him in the squad without the match fitness, because obviously with such a big game coming up on Sunday, you can't have your players. You want to give some of your best players a bit of a rest. So I think that's why he was in the squad.
Before I get into the bulk of the actual sort of game itself and how it sort of panned out, Nick, with the whole point on Jesse Lingard, who of course got his start last night, came on in the second half against Everton. Mata wasn't really tracking back and providing much support defensively. Yep. Jesse Lingard does tend to do that work a little bit more. Do you think he was deserving of starting last night? What did you make of his sort of overall performance?
I think Van Gaal wanted a work man, so that's why he put Jesse Lingard in there. He's prepared to get up and down, high energy levels, not the trickiest of wingers. I'm still debatable whether that's his best position. But I said previous weeks against Arsenal, I thought Darmian looked exposed against Sanchez. I thought that's a lot of the reasons Darmian got taken off. I don't think it was personally his individual performance. I thought it was Mata not contributing defensively. And that only confirmed it for me, to be honest, when Jesse Lingard started against CSK. Like I said, Mata's a brilliant football player, one of my favourite ones, but he's a luxury player. He's not going to trap back. You will get exposed against pacey wingers, but you have to be good enough to deal with it.
Are we accepting that 1-1 was a good result for this then?
I would have taken that at the start of the night.
I think certainly it's a result you'd take. Disappointing in the end, though, and I'll tell you why. Sort of feel a bit of mixed emotions towards this. I'm happy with the point away from home. It's a tough place to go. Obviously, we know fully well about the pitch, about the way the crowd get behind the team, the intensity, the atmosphere, etc. But having watched the game last night, CSK were a bang average team with a couple of good players.
That Musa was very good.
Musa being one of the good players. I also rate Dawber as well. The two attacking players.
Sadio Mane, Musa, a lot, very quick, very skillful.
Absolutely. So they have a couple of good players, but I think on the whole their squad is pretty average.
You had a 36-year-old centre half, with no pace, and we couldn't exploit it with Rooney.
Yeah, I mean, won't go into too much information on that, but he did have a poor game last night, let's say. Now, I thought it was a shame that the good work we did early on was undone by that penalty, Joe. We were looking comfortable in the game. We started really well. We were dominating possession, controlling the game. Anthony Martial's working his way back, but then Rojo makes a little bit of a defensive error. Ball goes over his head. Martial ends up in a bit of a compromising position and does make a silly error in putting his hand up and giving it away. It was silly.
It was a reaction towards it. I don't think you can. It's human nature. He just reacted towards the ball by accident, and he knew what he'd done.
I mean, how disappointed were you, Joe? To see us start so comfortably and to end up conceding a penalty and find ourselves one goal behind early on. How are you sort of feeling at that stage?
I feel like, do you know what? Maybe we should give him a bit of slack, because I think that we've pretty much done. It's another Merseyside squad. We've gone and beat them, and then in the Champions League we've gone and disappointed ourselves and put a bit of a dampener on the next game. And we know what happened last time about that one. But I just think that he's done a lot for us, and a few mistakes. I don't think we should put pressure on him. I think that it'd be wrong again. I know it was an absolute. It was a bit silly of him, really, but. He's only only young player. I'm not going to make that excuse for many people. If Rooney did it, you'd be on the straight on his back and you'd be saying, "What's he doing?"
Well, that's why it's only fair that we make the point that it was a silly error made.
I was arguably more annoyed about Jones' reaction for the penalty than Martial's mistake. I thought that was horrendous. Like
he should have been sharper.
He was actually in front of Dawber.
Yeah, he should have been sharper, definitely.
He did make up for it in the end with an absolute great goal, but it was just it was a shame to see us go 1-0 down, because the game clearly was there for us to win, and I think we should have still won it when we went 1-1.
It played into their hands, though, Nick, after CSK go 1-0 up in the game. United continued to struggle against pace. As you say, Musa looking a huge threat on several occasions.
Cheaper option for Mane.
Absolutely. I mean, how do we resolve this issue? Because when you look at our midfield, as good as Schneiderlin is, as good as Carrick has been, as good as Schweinsteiger could be, there isn't a lot of pace in that midfield, and so people are getting in at our back four. How do you see us resolving it? Can we resolve it?
Yeah, width. You need to stretch the team. I don't think it's something we've had this season. Mata isn't a winger. He's doing a very good job there, but he's not a winger. He's not going to provide you with width or lightning pace on the wing. Memphis, as Joe mentioned before, hasn't performed. Ashley Young in and out of the team. We haven't got a genuine winger who's performing, who's got lightning quick pace and is going to stretch defences. If we had a winger on our team against CSKA who was lightning quick and their fullback was scared of, like that Mario Fernandes was running up and down the pitch. He didn't have any threat whatsoever. He didn't care about Martial because Martial isn't a winger. And I think that's the only way you stretch teams that are that well structured and that good defensively is through pace on the wings.
Yeah, Vern Bloom did a good job on Martial first half as well. They were doubling up on him all the time. But Joe, Martial did eventually atone for his error in the second half. A tremendous header, but no right to score from there. But absolutely brilliant finish. I personally think he should be given more licence. Even if you are playing him to the left of the three, he should be able to get central more often. When he was there, he scores the goal for us. I mean, could it be perceivable, Joe? Not a popular tactic these days, but of course, in looking back at the old quote-unquote United way, is it possible that United could ever go back to 4-4-2?
Do you know what? I'd like to see United go back to basics in one sense. It could work. It doesn't seem... The only thing I don't want to see in that 4-4-2 is two players. It's Fellaini and
a popular fan favourite.
And
Rooney.
Well, no, not Rooney. I don't actually want to see Memphis at the moment. I never thought I'd see it. I don't want to see.
I agree with you completely.
I think that a 4-4-2 would work, but I think if when Young returns, I think he should be in that 4-4-2.
In that 4-4-2, where do you put Herrera though? That's the issue you have.
I mean, I think Herrera will be key for us towards the end of the season. I think that's where he's going to come into his own. And I think at the start of the season, I think we should be trying different things and seeing what works.
I'd like to see 4-3-1-2 given a shot. 3 across the midfield. Herrera possibly, or Mata behind Rooney and Martial. I'd like to be that.
I mean, Herrera
lacks a bit of width,
it was a bit similar to that against Everton, really. I mean, we weren't dissimilar to that. It was. I mean, Herrera was quite pressing quite high up the pitch, so it kind of was that formation.
Well, it does lack width, I agree, but you have to play to our strengths, and at the moment we don't have any good wingers or informed wingers.
I don't think we really have a formation at the moment.
No.
I think it's just we put the players out on the pitch. We kind of give them,
figures itself out later.
We kind of give them some form of structure to it, and I think that
especially when Fellaini came on in the second half at half time, there was no. I could not figure out how we were setting up. It was bizarre. But, I mean, overall, all being said, I think, a good result, a good week, really, for United. Bouncing back, from disappointment with a great win at Goodison. Getting the draw at CSK. Ball's now in our court. We go back to Old Trafford 2 weeks' time against them. I personally think they're an average team. I think we should be beating them at Old Trafford. But that's been our thoughts on Everton and CSKA games. If you've got any differences of opinion, or if you agree with anything and you have a different perspective to why, do let us know. We're at We Follow United on Twitter. And next, we're going to open up a huge fan takeover ahead of the derby. A fan takeover, a weekend preview and much more rolled into one then. It's the derby this weekend. Manchester City come to Old Trafford on Sunday. And so this Monday on the fan takeover, we put out some huge questions ahead of the big game for the derby. Now, I'm delighted to say we're joined by a guest immediately on the phone. We've also got a studio guest to join us shortly. But first of all, let's go to the opinions of Mark Goldbridge from the United Stand. He's on the phone with us now. Mark, good evening.
How's it going, mate?
Evening, lads. How you doing?
Very well. Are you okay?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Fantastic. Great to have you on, Mark. Of course, a huge weekend coming up. Just first of all, in terms of the week of football that's just been, how did you see it? Good week for United?
I thought Everton was fantastic. Really, really impressed with that, especially responding to the Arsenal result. I think it's the best performance we've had under Louis van Gaal. Last night, I don't know. I've sort of parked it because, as you said, it's the derby weekend, and no matter what result last night, it doesn't matter because the derby is a great leveller, and I'm confident we're going to win that. But I understand why some fans were a bit disappointed last night. But for me, it's all about the derby now.
Absolutely. So, Mark, let's dive straight in then. We've been talking about Martial during the show so far this evening. We wanted to know from the people of the Twitter world what sort of Martial's best position is. Where should he be starting at the derby? Should we play him as a centre forward? Should he be playing on the left wing, left of the three? Now, Mark, 80% of those fans who got involved in this vote on Twitter said Martial should start up front, centre forward. Do you agree with that? Where is Martial's best place to start in the derby?
100%. He should be playing at the in number 9 position. I said it last week, even though we beat Everton 3-0. I think we're moving him to accommodate a player who I've backed and still think has a future at Manchester United. But we're accommodating a underperforming player who I think needs to be dropped. Anthony Martial should be playing at number 9, and I think any opposing defenders would say that after we've played them. They'd be scared of playing against him. Rooney was put in the pocket of a 36-year-old veteran last night, and he needs taken out of the team. Martial should be playing at number 9, and I just don't understand whether it's a contract issue or something. Like I say, I've got no issues with Wayne Rooney, but he shouldn't be playing at the moment.
I mentioned this earlier in the show about the 36-year-old centre-half who outdone Rooney for pace at one point last night. It was just incredible.
Wasn't it? Absolutely stunning. But, I mean, Mark, are you saying then, if Martial plays centre-forward, who else plays in that sort of 3 across up front with him, or who plays in the 4 if you go 4-2-3-1? Are you saying Rooney misses out altogether, or do you accommodate him elsewhere?
You know what? Last week I thought Rooney would play on the left because he is a hard worker, and I thought he could have done a good job against Seamus Coleman. Obviously, Martial did a fantastic job on him. But, Martial number 9. Mata, obviously, to the right side, and I'd probably play Memphis, but you could put Pereira there. Or I wouldn't even mind Rooney moving there. He's not, I understand why fans say drop Rooney, but it's not going to happen. Let's live in the real world. He's not going to get dropped. So, yeah, Rooney would have to go to the left side for me, and let's get Martial up where he should be playing.
I think he makes a brilliant point about we shouldn't be accommodating Rooney. We should be accommodating Martial.
We shouldn't be accommodating Rooney. You're quite right. It's a fair comment. But at the same time, it'd be a huge call to leave Wayne Rooney out of a derby.
He can't do it. He's captain as well.
You cannot. I mean, of all the games, once you leave a captain out the side, you're pretty much saying that's your time up. You're never going to get back to the sort of level you were. You're basically on your way out, and I just think that's such a huge statement to make.
His chance to drop Rooney was a few weeks ago against Sunderland.
I think he's missed the opportunity for now.
That was the game to drop him.
Mark,
I'm confused by it. Sorry to interrupt. I'm confused by it because he's dropped people like Memphis, Darmian. He's dropped people, I think, fair enough. He's dropped some people, I think that's a bit harsh. He's happy to wield the axe. But, like I said, I've backed Rooney all season, and it's got to the point now where I still back him as an individual, still like him, still think he's got a job to do at United, but dropping him would do him some good. It can't happen on Sunday, you're absolutely right. The opportunity was a couple of weeks ago, but he's never going to do it. He's clearly never going to do it, and I can't for the life of me understand why.
Absolutely.
Rivaldo, I think he dropped in for Barcelona.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's been making some big calls during his career, but seemingly not with his captain, as you say, Mark. Who knows whether that's contract issues or other. But which formation, Mark, do you think suits United best? We've seen a combination of the sort of 2 under Van Gaal and a little bit mixed up as well during CSKA. But 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, how do you think United line up for this game?
I think we'll go 4-2-3-1. I think he'll put Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger to anchor that midfield. You could talk all week about this. There's just so. What's going on with Michael Carrick? I'm a massive fan of him. Doesn't get a look in yesterday. I think Herrera's got to play in that central sort of number 10 position, but I've got a bad feeling he won't. I think we might see Martial start at number 9, but I think we'll then see Rooney at number 10.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
But I would go 4-2-3-1. Because I think we need to control that midfield. But I'm 100% confident we're going to win. I really am.
Where do you see Memphis, Mark, in a couple of months' time?
I think because of his background and him being Dutch and Louis van Gaal has given him the number 7 shirt, he will make more of an effort with him than he did with Di Maria to make him work.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
And I think he will work out. I think he's got to be given some time. But I don't buy into the fact that he's going to flop, but I think he's got the perfect role model in Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs has been there, bought the T-shirt, especially at that age, and he needs to just buckle down. It's down to Memphis at the end of the day.
Definitely. Mark, I just want to get your score prediction. We've got quite a few people on ahead of a huge sort of fan phoning we've got going on tonight. Just want to know from you, Mark, in terms of the score prediction for Sunday, what are you going for? Will United win? I'm
going to go Manchester United 3-2 because I do think De Bruyne's a threat and I do think he'll score against us. But I think, I'm like I said, 100% sure we're going to win this game. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, let's hope you're right, Mark. It's been a pleasure. Thanks ever so much for giving up your time. Appreciate your points made, and we'll hope to speak to you on the other side.
Yeah, no worries. Good luck, lads.
Thanks very much, Mark.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Mark Goldbridge from the United Stand. Do give them a follow. They're on Thursday nights and Sunday nights, 9 o'clock. Great show to be involved in, so do get involved in that. We've actually got another fan on the line at the moment. As I say, we're going to plough through some calls tonight. And he's also going to be on United Stand. He's a regular. It's Kev from the United Stand. Join us on the line right now. Kev, good evening.
Good evening, lads. How are we doing?
How's it going, mate? You all right?
Very well, mate. Looking forward to Sunday.
Should always be an absolutely superb game, Kev. It's one that we're building up for massively tonight. Going to be a huge game at the weekend. Kev, I'm just going to dive straight into another debate that we've been having this week on Twitter. Ahead of the derby, we asked you, following the Everton game, such a convincing win, of course, 3-0 at Goodison. Do you keep an unchanged team from the side that played at Goodison? 60% of the fans who voted on this, Kev, said yes, they would keep an unchanged team. They would go with the same 11 that started against Everton. How would you like to see United line up against City on Sunday?
Yeah, I think that the simple answer definitely is that I would go with that same team. Looking at the lineup last night, I thought he was definitely protecting the odd player. I think Schweinsteiger starting was a little bit, not baffling, but I definitely thought against CSKA he'd look to rest players. Obviously, I thought it was great to see that Mata was rested. And for me, yeah, I'm with that 60%. For me, he has to start. Barring any injuries or anything that happens in the week, he has to start with the same team that started against Everton. Every single one of them players deserves to be in on merit, and just purely for the performance that they put in at Goodison Park that day.
Where do you stand on the Rooney Martial debate, Kev? Would you play Martial on the left still, or would you move him central and put Rooney out on the left? Because we had Mark on previously, and he said he'd possibly put Rooney out on the left, because obviously we're accommodating Rooney at the moment and sacrificing Martial.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I don't think Rooney would really be effective out on the left, and I think we've seen that last night, that Martial, I think he struggled, and in fairness to him, he's not a left-sided player, but for me, we shouldn't be accommodating Wayne Rooney. I think his form this season hasn't been great. A lot of United fans have slated me for saying it. I don't think he's been great at all, and I honestly think that if he didn't have that captain's armband, he wouldn't be in that team.
Yeah. It's
as simple as that. Van Gaal has, I suppose he has. He's made a rod for his own back, because he's decided Rooney's his main man and his captain. And at the minute, he seems almost, unplayable. But I don't think it's fair. It's not setting an example to the other players.
Yep.
And for me, Martial should be the spearhead of that attack. And he causes defenders problems because of his pace. And he pulls defenders all over the show. For me, Rooney doesn't give you that.
Well, we seem to think, me and Andy do, and I think Mark agrees as well, the best time to drop Rooney was a couple of weeks ago at home to Sunderland, and I think the opportunity's past us now. I think we can't really drop him before a huge game like City at home, sorry.
Totally agree. And even going into the Everton game, in my head, I was thinking, this could be another chance for him maybe to shake it up and leave Rooney out. But the sentiment thing and the fact we were playing Everton, it was his old club that he used to play for. I don't know whether that's got the better of him. Obviously, he did score, and it was one of his better games for United. But it's a growing concern and a problem for me, because I think a lot of these games this season that Rooney's played in, he's been totally ineffective, and we've almost been playing with 10 men. The game yesterday, last night, he's just going through the motions again, and people have the counter-argument that he's not getting the service, he's still making the runs. But for me, we've got a 19-year-old lad that we just spent a hell of a lot of money on, and he's a fantastic prospect. Play him in his best position, because Martial, when he's up top, he's causing them problems. For me, he's an absolute world beater, and he's a lot better than what I ever imagined he would have been at this stage of his career at United.
Definitely. I just want to get a quick word from you, Kev, on one matter on the other side of the three. We mentioned about accommodating Rooney. We've mentioned is Martial wasted on the left. I want to focus quickly on one matter. As I've mentioned earlier on in the show, potential problems creeping in with one matter. Didn't get back in support during the Arsenal game, left Darmian basically, with all hell breaking loose with Sanchez. And then, of course, we go to Goodison. First half, he comes off again, not providing support coming back. Can you risk one matter in a game like Manchester City? You know, you've got De Bruyne in the squad, you've got Sterling in there. There's a lot of talented, quick players that are going to be going up against Darmian at right back. Can you accommodate playing one matter? Will he do the work back?
For me, you can accommodate him, because he's absolutely class. And what he'll give you in the final third, top draw players, they don't necessarily have to be good defensively. And for me, Matters, he's one of the first names on the team sheet for me. He gives you just that creative side to the game. I think he's that good that the defensive side does not bother me. I think that's more of a Van Gaal kind of regime, that he loves these players, a bit like Mourinho at Chelsea.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hazard was the player of the season, a mile above, head and shoulders above everyone last season. And this season he comes in for criticism, and that's Mourinho. It's this kind of the foreign mentality that comes from European football that they have to defend. But for me, you take a chance on these great players. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo was never great defensively, but you just let them flourish and do their thing in the final third. For me, he will have players that can defend, and defensively, if like I heard previously there, Mark says if he does sit with, let's say, Schneidlin and Schweinsteiger or Carrick, you've got that protection in front of the back four. And for me, it makes up for them players, but yeah, matters in the team for me every day of the week.
Okay, excellent. Great points, Kev. Just before I do let you go, just want to get a score prediction from you. What are you going for? Will United get the 3 points? Can they beat City this weekend?
Yeah, well, somebody asked me this the other day, and I was really in two minds. Catch-22. Derby day, it's cliche saying, isn't it? It's whoever wants it more and that, and form goes out the window. But yeah, it's at Old Trafford. I've got to be confident. I'm a United fan, and for me, I really do think Aguero and Silva being out is a huge
massive
miss. Massive for City. And as a United fan, I'm going to go with 2-0.
2-0.
I really hope I'm right.
Confidence of Kev. Just remind people as well where they can follow you, Kev.
Twitter handle, my personal one is @KevinAshford7. Give us a follow. Great fun as always.
Absolutely. Do give Kev a follow. I know you're a regular on the United Stand as well. Do, as I say, give their show a watch. Kev, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thanks very much for getting involved.
Pleasure, lads. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
On United.
Come on. There you go. Kev, sparking the flames for the derby. We've got another caller ready to go, going to keep firing through. We've got Joggy, regular to the show, on the line. Joggy, good evening.
Good evening, guys.
Welcome back, Joggy.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure as always. We'll try and keep producer Joe away from you this evening.
No, not.
Now, Joggy, absolutely brilliant to have you on ahead of a huge derby game, of course, at the weekend. Now, we've been asking a couple of big questions around sort of topics to do with the United City game on Twitter this Monday. Now, if you put injuries aside, Joggy, we're trying to put together, first of all here, our sort of combined best United and City 11. If you sort of, as I say, put all sort of injuries aside, so everyone would be available. Ideal scenario, Joggy. So how many United players do you think would make that squad? How many City players would you get in there? How would you line that one up?
To be honest, I wouldn't. I'd only get about 3 City players in.
3 City players?
Maximum. Yeah, 3. Company, Sterling, Aguero.
Company, Sterling and Aguero. Right, okay.
Yeah.
So no David Silva?
Not really, no. We've got Juan Mata. We don't really need David Silva.
Wow. Incredible. There you go. He's kicking it off early tonight. There you go.
I'd love David Silva. Personally.
Juan Mata's a much better player than David Silva.
Wow,
in my opinion.
There's a statement.
That's a
wow,
bold. Yeah, I'd have to disagree with that. I think
you're tempting me in here, Joggy. You're tempting me in.
I think Silva's probably one of probably my favourite City player, if I'm being honest.
He is a good player, but he's not on Juan Mata's level.
Well, there you go. Now, how do you expect us to line up against City at the weekend, Joggy? In your opinion, sort of what formation do we go with? Who's in, who's out? Where's the big changes made?
I think he'll probably. I've got a funny feeling he's going to go with the same team that he went with in Moscow. But Damian will come in on the right.
Okay.
I think the only other question is if Juan Mata comes back in on the right-hand side with Lingard. But otherwise, I think it's going to be pretty much... He's not changed his team that much this season, if you really look at it. Bar injuries, he's kept it. The midfield's changed in and out, but otherwise he's kind of kept pretty much most of the same players.
Yeah, he absolutely has. I mean, do you agree with sort of Kev's point that you have to accommodate Mata? Does he have to come back in over, say, someone like Lingard who will work back? Can we afford to have so many luxury players as United do in that team?
Well, you just got to look at it last year. He turned it on in all the big games. He was the main player. Even if people question his pace, he's 2 steps ahead of you in his head. He's too much of a good player to leave out. Going backwards, it can be a bit of a question against them like we did against Arsenal. But like I said in the last show, it was just a bad day. Van Gaal, very rarely does he get it wrong so badly. And like I said last time, he got it bad, but he proved it then at Everton, which is historically a very tough fixture for us. And even in Moscow, I personally think Mata should come back in on the right. He gives us an extra. Yesterday we could have done with Mata as well in the first half, just trying to give us that extra bit of pass going forward. And I think Lingard is still a bit unexperienced at that level.
Yeah, one of the things I did notice against at Goodison Park, Joggy, was the balance in the team seemed a lot better. And I think a lot of that was because we actually had defenders in the team. We had obviously Jones as a centre-half and Rocco was at left-back. And Van Gaal actually said this week, I think, some nice comments about Rocco, if he saw them in the news. So he might have a future of it. What do you think about Rocco?
I think he's a good player. He had a bad game yesterday, though. He wasn't that good. But I think he gives us a bit of height. He gives us a bit of strength as well at the left-back position. Against Everton, I think it was just a case of he got the tactics spot on. He moved Marshall onto the left, which stopped Coleman from coming forward, which was a great move. Otherwise, their fullbacks give them a lot of attacking options. I think on Sunday he will get it right. I don't think he will make a big mistake like he did against Arsenal.
No, we certainly hope not. He can't afford to, really, can he? It'd be absolutely scandalous if he makes that sort of error and we go down 3-0 at home to City. Joggy, moving on to score predictions just to finish. We've got a lot to get through this evening. Just want to know how you're sort of feeling ahead of the Derby game on Sunday. What's your score prediction? What are you going for?
I think 2-1.
2-1, and that's to United, I assume, is it?
Yeah, 2-1 to United, but the key to the game is to keep Kevin De Bruyne out of the game.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that will be key in the current team.
People going about Silva. This guy's record is phenomenal in scoring goals. You know, I don't know why Chelsea's hold the guy. He's a phenomenal player. Didn't really ever hit it off at Chelsea, partly because of what Mourinho expects from his wingers, really, more than anything. But no, I agree with you. It's come back to bite him. If we can keep him out of the game, Torre will deal with Torre. We've got a strong midfield. We've got to keep De Bruyne out of the game, and their defence is not the best. Especially Otamendi is very rash, and if we can get Marshall onto him, I think we will cause them problems, and we need to drop Rooney. There you go. Didn't even need to give him the ammo. I'll end with that. Joggy, pleasure as always to have you on. Just remind people where they can find you on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at I am Joggy, and I'll give you a follow back as well. There you go. Do give him a follow. Get involved in United Chat. A lot of confidence. Thanks very much, Joggy. Thank you very much.
See you later, mate.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you go. Frantic fan phoning during the fan takeover. Some absolutely extraordinary opinion in there as well. Now, I'm going to move this on. We're going to get our studio guest involved. He's been ready, warming up on the sidelines, waiting to get involved. We've got a slight different perspective here joining us on the Chronicles. We've got a Manchester City fan joining us, a great friend of the show. We've got Joe with us in the studio. Joe, welcome.
Hello.
How's it feel to be on the red side of Manchester?
Oh, behind enemy lines here. Right next to the exit.
I'm good. Safe place to be, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I'm going to jump in with something that was mentioned by the last of the three callers we've just had on there, because I saw your face, and I know I certainly felt the same. Joggy, talking about the sort of best combined United and City team, mentions Raheem Sterling getting in there, Kompany and Aguero putting injuries to one side, of course.
Not a lot of love for Silva.
No David Silva. I mean,
I don't know.
Put a case forward.
I think that's ludicrous. I think David Silva definitely at the start of the season has been one of the best players. He's just so consistent. The past 4 or 5 seasons he's been at City, he's been one of our best players. He just never loses the ball as well, and just makes it look so simple.
Yeah, and he makes Aguero look all the better for it as well.
That's one of the reasons why Aguero scored 5 goals.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, without a doubt. So, Joe, let's reverse the question. We asked Joggy how many City players get in the combined United City 11. How many United players would get into your sort of combined 11 if you put injuries to one side?
That's a tough one, isn't it? I'd definitely have Schneiderlin.
Okay.
I think he's a good player.
I'd agree with that 100%.
Something that City don't have is he's a ball-winning midfielder.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Martial.
Just on current form at all.
Yeah, he's a good prospect as well.
Yeah,
he looks like he's a goal scorer.
Joe Hart or De Gea?
I don't think there's that much between them,
Interesting.
I think to be fair, that is a fair point. I think De Gea is exposed a lot more than Joe Hart is.
He is.
So he does stand out a lot more.
Yeah.
But he does pull off incredible saves. So.
Yeah,
as does Joe Hart in big games at big moments.
Joe Hart in Champions League is
big game player.
He's been awesome.
My issue with Joe Hart, I always think he has a mistake or two in him.
As we saw last night, as you saw, you were at the game against Sevilla. 2-1 up, final couple of seconds. Yeah. Strange throw. His distribution sometimes does let him down, doesn't it, Joe?
And I think the thing as well is the sweeper keeper. You know what Manuel Neuer does.
Manuel Neuer role.
Yeah, that seems to be sort of the in fashion thing at the moment.
Definitely
playing from the back.
Something that Hugo Lloris does rather well for Tottenham as well at the moment. But interesting there. Then what we're saying is potentially within your team, only Schneiderlin and Marshall make it, whereas only 3, when we're talking to United fans, make the team. So
would Smalling not get in your team next to Company?
He probably would do on current form because, to be fair, Smalling's had a good season so far. But I think that's because he's had more responsibility.
He's had to have. I
think he's had to step up. Yeah. Because there's sort of there hasn't been anyone else there before. There was like Vidic and Ferdinand to rely on.
We do lack leaders at the back.
And I don't know if Chris Smalling is a leader. I think that's the one criticism I have of him. When Daley Blind played in next to him, Daley Blind almost dictates what the back four does more than Smalling, which is worrying. But in terms of what he does, in terms of the way he plays, Smalling is a leader in the way he plays, but just not vocal
Beast
enough.
Mode.
Yeah, beast mode, absolutely. Nick, how does your sort of best 11 sort of lineup combined? Where would you go on this one?
Well, I actually had a good think about this.
Okay.
And I tried not to be biased, but obviously, whether you got blue specs on or red specs on, you're going to be biased.
Before we sort of go ahead with your team, can I just ask you, because there's a number of ways you can look at this. Have you done yours on sort of form this season? Have you done
all time?
All time?
Yeah, just off what I think of the players currently, because. If you just go off current form, you could argue Blind could be in there. Do you know, it's a bit of a daft debate. My personal team, I'd probably go 4-2-3-1.
Right.
I'd have obviously David Nett would be mine over Joe Hart. I'd go with Darmian at right back because I think Zabaleta's. I think he's been possibly the best right back in England for the last 5 years, but I think it's gone now. I think he's getting on a bit. I'd have obviously Mike in there next to Company. Company would be a stalwart for me, straight in there. Luke Shaw, I think before that horrific injury, he was arguably the best left back in the league. I thought he was brilliant. Schneiderlin is another one. I think City fans would agree, like Joe just said a minute ago, he'd have him in the City team. I'd have Herrera next to Schneiderlin in that sort of deeper role. And then I'd have Mata on the right wing because you could argue De Bruyne, but I've not really seen enough of him from my personal opinion. So that's an argument there. So I'd personally have Mata. I'd have Aguero just behind in the number 10 position. I think he plays that for Argentina, so I don't think he's sort of out the way. And have Silva on the left wing, obviously cut inside, and they'd all be interchangeable. And then have Martial up top, because I think a lot of world-class players, like you said it yourself, Joe, before, when they come into the Premier League, they hit the ground running, and that's when you know there's something special. We've seen it with Memphis. He's struggling. He's not hit the ground running yet. There's doubts over his future already. But Martial, he looks like a special player.
You include Martial in there, who's hit the ground running. Yeah. Why not De Bruyne then? He's also hit the ground running.
I've not seen enough of it. I don't watch enough City games, to be honest with you. I can't judge it. He sounds and his stats are incredible. And he scored again last night.
Yeah,
so the argument,
big goal, big game player again.
The argument was between Mata and De Bruyne, and just based off my being red specs, I've gone with Mata.
Yeah, De Bruyne had the most assists in Bundesliga.
Yeah, sensational player. I just want to bring up something on what you've mentioned there with your team, Nick. I just want to throw this to you, Joe.
Yeah,
Zabaleta. What's happened? Where has his form gone?
He's just played in the Copa Americas.
In the Copa America, yeah.
And he played, like a full season last season. Like Sagna sort of got nowhere near that team as well. So I think it's probably just tiredness, and he was sort of injured as well at the start of the season.
I think it's the age factor. Yeah. You think how much football he's played.
Going forward, he makes such intelligent runs.
Yeah. So is it just a case of perhaps too many miles on the clock at the moment, just needed a bit of a rest?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I think he's just been rested, and I think he's just sort of been eased back into it. I think with the squad we have, we've got the luxury to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment.
We've been scoring goals as well.
Yeah,
so I think
freely,
solid backup.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. You played, I mean, you'll have to forgive my ignorance. I was watching the CSK United game, of course. But Zabaleta started right back last night, did he not? And Sanya left back.
Yeah, that's because we've got injuries to Kolarov and Clichy.
Yeah. Will either of those be back for the derby?
I was saying that Kolarov came on.
I was going to say I don't
think he was fully fit though.
So do you think it was sort of resting him, bedding him in towards the derby? Will he start or will he go with Sanya and Zabaleta? What do you think to that?
I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough one because Kolarov bombs forward. He's good at going forward, and
fantastic.
He's one of the best.
Forward.
He's definitely one of the best crossers of the ball. He's got good delivery, and he's good at for
Free
the
kicks.
game.
Yep.
The game you played at Goodison as well. He was sensational going forward.
Him defensively, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
him and Sterling linked up really, really well.
Yeah.
But you can say with Clichy, he's really, really good defensively.
Yeah.
But he's not as good as going forward. I wish you could sort of combine the
Mold
two,
both,
like a hybrid or something.
Yeah, that'd be a Luke Shaw.
Now, if we put one matter out there, as our sort of right at the three, Joe, Clichy or Kolarov, who's going to be best equipped to handle that? Because my issue is if you've got someone like Kolarov bombing forward, one matters.
He's going to find space.
It's going to leave him
exposed.
exposed.
It'd be between Kolarov and Sagno, wouldn't it?
Right, of course,
I'd probably play Sanya if I was a City manager. I'd probably go with Sanya.
I think he'll go Kolarov.
Just based
I
on
would not be surprised at all. Would not be surprised.
I think it's to try and sort of push you up further afield.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, Joe, we've talked about how we sort of, sort of what we want to see from United. A lot of our fans are saying, well, 60% of them, so slight majority saying we stay unchanged from the Everton game in the derby. What do you think City need to do? How do you line up? What formation do you play? How do you set up to beat us?
Oh, I think it's a tough one, really. I think definitely the battle is going to be in midfield.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think we can't afford to play Torre and Fernandinho in a 2 against you lot because you'll put the extra man in midfield. You'll probably have like Carrick, Schneiderlin and what's his name? Schweinsteiger. Yeah.
So you'd expect a solid midfield 3 from United.
Yeah, I think if you do that,
we'll play 3.
Yeah, I think we'll get outrun in midfield. I think we need to. I'd personally go Hart in goal. I think Kompany will play. I think he's been rested.
Yeah, came on for the last couple of seconds, didn't he, last night? I think that was his bow. Welcome back, yeah.
Kompany, Mangala, left back. I'd go. I don't know. I'd go Sagna.
I'd agree with you. Defensively,
yeah,
because Kolarov, like we said earlier in the show, he will bomb forward.
He will leave you exposed,
and Mata will find pockets of space on the right hand side.
Definitely, and he's a little bit lazy as well, getting back.
You mentioned about the midfield battle. Then, how does City prepare for that midfield battle?
I think they've got to put Fernando and Fernandinho together and push Torre further forward. You didn't see the game last night, did you? Did you see the highlights?
I've seen the highlights of the game last night.
Did you see when Torre sort of went further forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it led to the De Bruyne goal in the end, didn't it?
Both goals, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's where he's more effective.
Do you think Silva will make it? Because obviously Joggy said he's out, but
he's definitely out.
Is that 100%? Yeah,
I'd say so.
Because it all went very quiet on Silva. He was out for a couple of weeks.
Back in training.
Exactly, and then we heard he was back in training, and it was obviously he wasn't in the squad last night at all. Wasn't on the bench. And I just thought, just come Sunday, sneaking in on the team sheet on the sub bench, David Silva.
I think he'll go for pace against United, and I would definitely go for pace because you struggled against Arsenal with Sanchez and Walcott.
Struggled against CSK as we mentioned with Musa last night as well.
I'd go Navas, and it's quite a controversial pick, but it's just I don't know to stretch you a bit.
Quick.
Yeah, and Sterling as well.
End product has been poor from Navas.
So would you play Torre in like number 10 role? And a Boney up front.
Yeah,
or would you play De Bruyne?
The thing with City is it's so tough deciding what team to pick.
My personal team, if I was picking a City team, obviously, on my side of it, I'd have Hart in net.
Yep.
I'd have Sanya at right back. I'd have Kompany, Mangala probably in centre back positions.
Mangala's definitely improved.
Yeah.
Yes. Otamendi's been slow to get used to the pace of the league, I think. That game against Spurs particularly got caught out a couple of times positionally.
Yeah.
Didn't recover.
He's quite rash and he does he's not the quickest.
No.
I personally think Pellegrini, I think he'll play 2 midfielders. I think you want to accommodate De Bruyne and Sterling.
Yeah,
and
I think they've both got to play. Absolutely must play.
So I can see Fernandinho and Yaya being the holding. I think he'll go 4-2-3-1.
Okay.
No, I think what Pellegrini will play. I think he'll play like you said, De Bruyne, Sterling, Fernandinho, Torre, and he'll have Boney. Up front, yeah.
With Kompany coming back into the side, then I mean, we assume fit now for the derby. Certainly looks as though he's ready to go. From his sort of reaction, he was warming up almost on the pitch last night before he came on.
Raring to get on.
Absolutely, yeah. But this Kompany factor, Joe. I was having a look at this, and there was a couple of stats flying around on Kompany that really have interested me. In the first 5 league games of the season that you started this season, you didn't concede a single goal.
No.
Now, of course, Kompany played in the Juventus game. He was subbed off. You've only conceded 1 goal with him in the team.
2-1, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you've conceded 12 in all competition since Kompany's gone, only 1 with him on the pitch.
Yeah.
And during the last 4 league games, you've conceded a goal in every game at least, and you've conceded 8 in 4.
I think he just...
How massive is
it
Kompany
just
going to
shows
be
you-
returning?
Well, he's the leader, isn't he? He's the leader of the team.
Because a year or 2 back, people started jumping on his back, didn't
Yeah.
they? He lost a bit of form. It seemed his pace had gone a bit. Has that gone now? Has he cleared that? Is he back to his best, in your opinion?
I think at the start of the season, he was fully fit. I think last season he wasn't fit at all. And if he had
Just sort of playing through
he had
injury.
an awful game against you lot.
Yeah,
in
he
the
was
4-2.
terrible.
Well, he wasn't properly fit. But I think, if he stays fit,
What do you
he's
think
by
he's going
far
to be
the
like
best
coming back
centre-back.
from injury?
He played 60 minutes for Belgium.
Yeah.
That was last week.
Yeah, because I know Pellegrini wasn't too chuffed with that, was he?
No.
But
Well, we lost, Silva and Aguero.
yeah, absolutely.
on
Yeah,
international
not
duty,
going to
which
be
wasn't the
particularly
best.
pleased. Yeah.
No.
No, it couldn't come at a better time and for United and a worse
Yeah.
time for you, really. Now, some quotes have come out in the press this week, Nick, or last week or so. Louis van Gaal said he's hoping to prove that United are title contenders by beating City this weekend. In your opinion, do you think if United beat City, we are title contenders?
No, not in a million years.
Who's going to challenge City?
Arsenal, I think personally this season, I think they will challenge. I think Wenger has to adapt his game. He took the risks in the big games. He never used to. It shows against us a few weeks ago. I just don't think we've got the squad for it. I think our best 11 could potentially challenge, but we're not going to have the best 11 every week. And I just think we'll get stretched, we'll get injuries, and I think we'll lose vital games. And I just think it's a season too early for us yet. I think we're a summer behind.
No, I agree with that. I don't think we'll be challenging for the title by the end of it. I mean, Joe, do you see United as title rivals? Do you think if we beat you, we'll be up there? How do you see it?
You never know, though, do you? Because you're only 2 points behind us.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you win, you go point ahead.
We go top of the league if we win.
You
certainly.
get a lot of confidence.
Yep.
And I think it's
about momentum, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Building
and
momentum,
it's if you can keep those players fit,
Yep.
because you sort of probably tend to rely on.
Well, this is the issue. City have, I said earlier to Joe when I spoke to him before the show, and I've said to you in the past, if they keep Aguero fit, they will win the league.
I think we'd walk the league if we could keep him fit.
He is the best player in the league, hands down. If they keep him fit, they will win.
So I think there's a toss-up whether David Silva or Aguero are the best in the league. So I think if you keep both of them
as well,
fit,
the spine of the team.
Spine of the team, exactly. Yeah, will be absolutely key. Now, who do we think that the defeat would be worse for? If United lose this, I mean, is it worse for us being as we're at home? Does it completely kill our season off? If it happens to City, will they simply be able to pick up again the week after? You think it's worse for them?
Because I don't think they're aiming to win the title. They're the favourites for the league. We're not. People are expecting us to finish in fourth, third, second, maybe at a push. I think Van Gaal in himself doesn't think we'll challenge this year. I think top 4 again is the target. It's sad to say, but I think it is.
No, you've got to be honest.
I don't think the squad depth's there, and I think if we were to beat City on Sunday, I think it's worse for them than it is for us.
Do you agree with that, Joe?
I don't, because I think it's still early in the season.
Yep.
Plenty of time to bounce back.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not. I don't know. There's just such a long way to go.
You've come unstuck before, haven't you? You went through a quite poor run of a couple of games. West Ham, Tottenham, Juventus sandwiched in between that in the Champions League. So you've come out of that bad patch again. A loss away at Old Trafford. Obviously terrible for the fans on the day, but as you say, in the grand scheme of things, not huge. I personally think it's absolutely massive for United, because I think, like you said, because it's such early doors in the season, if United can get a win, start to build a bit of momentum, players might actually start to believe that we could be contenders for the title. So I think personally, if we get beaten, especially being at home as well, I think it'd be huge.
I think if you get beaten, I think there'll be questions asked over Van Gaal.
Absolutely. Inconsistency.
Yeah, I think Van Gaal will go into that game very, very cautious.
I think both managers will.
I
don't think any manager wants to lose that on Sunday. I think it'll be a really nervous game.
I don't know, because Pellegrini's sort of takes a lot of risks.
Yeah.
Because he's done that in the Champions League, and when we played Chelsea at the start of the season, he played 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And Joe, I just want to sort of end on this before we sort of go into score predictions. how do you solve a problem like Wayne Rooney? Now, as you've heard with the callers we've had
your
on,
side of the turf.
absolutely, yeah. Now, some of the fans are saying drop Rooney. Joggy said we should drop Rooney. I know a couple of people on Twitter have said it. Me and Nick now think, and I know Mark and Kev certainly from the phoning seem to agree. Van Haller's missed his chance to drop Rooney, and now we have to play him. Are you happier with a Wayne Rooney on the team sheet or off it?
I think you should drop him because he always scores against City.
They've not got Dzeko anymore, have they?
Always.
Yeah.
The thing with Wayne Rooney is he's just not. He hasn't been the same player, has he? Since that season was it 2010?
Fergie's last season when he came off the boil. Carried on under Moyes. Carried on under Van Gaal's first season, and it's carrying on this season.
If Fergie was still there, do you think he'd still be at United, Rooney?
No,
I think he'd have moved on
a long time ago. Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
No,
ago.
Rooney's definitely not the same player. I don't think he will be.
Well, I think I was watching the CSKA game and there was a ball that was played and Rooney ran onto the end of it and he didn't make it. And the commentator said at the time, the Rooney of 4 or 5 years ago would have had that extra yard just to get the ball.
Yeah,
he doesn't have it.
Absolutely, yeah. This is the problem going forward. Thanks to everyone that got involved with the fan takeover on those topics this week. Some brilliant opinions. Sorry we've not had a chance to really go through those people's thoughts on Twitter. It's been absolutely manic trying to get the callers in. Of course, having Joe in the studio with us as well. It's been brilliant to get some insight from the blue half of Manchester ahead of the big weekend of football. Now, we're going to end the show with the score predictions. We have a Premier League Predictor League running. I think, Joe, you've gone top. Producer Joe has gone top of that league after the Everton game. You'll be delighted to hear. You're a point ahead of me.
Oh, are we?
Am I relegated yet?
I don't know where you are.
It's been a very complicated show with two Joes in the studio.
It has, yes. Sorry, we'll go with full title Producer Joe.
Yeah.
So, you've gone top of the Premier League Predictor League after the weekend. You didn't get the result quite right, but the score rather, but you got the result.
I think you got the score, didn't you, Nick? You did say 3-0, did he not?
No, he didn't. He went 2-1. You went 2-0.
I'm pretty sure you said 3-0 before.
I would like to check that because I was fiercely confident. I remember being really confident.
You were. We'll check the footage back. But so far as I'm aware, we haven't published it.
I'm being fair there, aren't I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Being a proper producer for once. And
I think you are still top. Now, the idea behind the Premier League Predictor League is that with every Premier League game, just simply comment your score prediction for the game in the comments below or on the question we ask on Twitter. If you get the right result, then you get a point. If you get the correct scoreline, you get 3 points. It's pretty simple. I'm going to end the show with the score predictions ahead of the Manchester derby. I'm going to start with our guest in the studio, Joe, from the City side of things. We'll get you involved in this for this week. What are you going for score-wise? Will City beat United? This is going to be popular.
Of course he will. I'm going to go 1-0 City.
1-0, tight game.
I think it will be a tight game.
Yeah. Nick, with you saying you agree it's going to be a tight game, where are you going?
I think Joggy made a perfect point before. De Bruyne, obviously with Silva out, if he is out, and Aguero not being there will be key.
Yeah.
If we can stop him. I think Yaya is not the same force he once was. But I think it'll be a really tight game. I'm going to probably go 1-1.
1-1. Okay.
We haven't had a draw for a while, have we? And City haven't drawn yet this season.
I was going to say, you're hardly draw specialists, are you? No. So it'd be a surprise to see that one. Producer Joe.
Hello, you all right?
Yeah, I'm very well, yeah. How are you surviving there?
No, it's been a very long link without me. I've tried to keep my voice a bit quieter.
Been keeping you busy running around with the fan phone in there. It's been absolutely brilliant show tonight.
Well, it's been brilliant, and thanks for everyone getting involved, as we say. My score prediction... Last time I went to a City match, they scored in the first 2 minutes.
They did, yeah. It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Was that the 6-1?
No,
it wasn't.
No,
thanks for raising that, though, Joe.
The last ticket I've had was when they scored in the first 2 minutes. And I bought a season ticket for moments like this, and I'd hope for once that I get a bit of return on this. So I'm going to say 2-0 United, and I think with Joggy saying Matters or better than Silva, I think we've got a great team in our. So I think that Joggy's confidence and Matter world class.
I'll tell you what, if Joggy was on the pitch, we'd be winning 2-0 every game.
So 2-0 United, that's what I'm going for.
Okay, before I fire in mine, I'm just going to get a couple of score predictions because we've missed out quite a lot of the Twitter traffic tonight, but we've got some score predictions in. At Cogsy666 goes 2-0 United, agreeing with you, Joe. We've got at C-Clay 1978 United, who's going 3-2 United win, and 3-1 for at Saifik Arabi. So
did we get Joggies?
Yeah, Joggy went for 2-0.
I thought you'd go like 6-0. You see.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to agree with Chris Clay on this one. Not being able to join us on the show tonight, unfortunately, but I'm going to go 3-2. I think it will be tight in the opening, but I can see City coming out and really having a go at us early on, trying to test us out with De Bruyne and Sterling's pace.
Who's going to take the free kick then? The famous Van Persie free kick. Who's having it? Memphis.
Memphis from the bench, hopefully.
Phil Jones.
Phil Jones.
From a corner.
Direct from a corner. Yeah, I'm going to go 3-2 United win simply because Aguero's missing, and according to Joe, so is David Silva.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Conspiracy.
We'll see if that happens. I think if David Silva plays, City win. It's as simple as that. I think it'd be 3-2 reversed, but we're going to go on that basis. So, in my opinion, 3-2 United. We'll see how that pans out. Do let us know on Twitter at WeFollowUnited. Comment in the link below that we put down for the question what you think the score will be. Get involved in any of the debates we've had. Where should Martial play? Is he our centre forward? Is he our number 9? Should he be on the left or is he wasted there? Been some big debates, absolutely brilliant points made, and some great guests also join us in the studio. It's been a pleasure to have Joe with us from the blue side of Manchester. Thanks for coming on, Joe.
Yeah, tarnished the podcast, Joe.
I told you I'll get you more followers on this.
Well, let's hope so.
The 3 fans City have got.
So, as always, We Follow United on Twitter. Do get involved. Do give us a follow. Give the video a like as well. Let us know what you think of it. And with the Derby Day looming, we'll see you on the other side.